You have your favorite songs at your fingertips, endless playlists, instant access, music wherever you go. But how much do you really see your music? Streaming gives us incredible access, but something often goes unnoticed. The experience. Vinyl records invite you to slow down, to engage with music in a way that's tactile, visual, and deeply personal. The weight of the record in your hands, the artwork that tells its own story, the liner notes revealing details you never knew. Every record has a history, a craftsmanship, a personality waiting to be explored. This channel isn't about nostalgia, and it's not about choosing one format over another. It's about uncovering the hidden details, the stories etched into the grooves, the artistry behind the covers, the moments that make an album more than just a collection of songs. Whether you're new to vinyl or a lifelong collector, we're going to dive into the world of music in a way that goes beyond pressing play. So take a moment, drop the needle, and let's rediscover music, one record at a time. The hidden universe of vinyl records. The very first record we're going to explore is one that has shaped generations, an album that remains as powerful today as it was when it first dropped. The record? The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. Even if you've never played a vinyl in your life, you've seen this cover, the iconic prism refracting light into a rainbow. But beyond the visuals, beyond the legendary songs, there's a universe of details waiting to be uncovered. Here's what we'll dive into: the album cover, the sound and production, the lyrics and themes, hidden details and Easter eggs, legacy and cultural impact. So let's drop the needle and explore the dark side of the moon like never before. Behind an iconic cover, the album cover, simplicity that became iconic. The moment you see it, you know it. Black background, a triangular prism, and a beam of white light splitting into a spectrum of colors. But this cover is more than just eye-catching. It's a statement of artistic minimalism, designed by Storm Thorgerson and created by Hypnosis, the design studio responsible for many of Pink Floyd's visuals. Thorgerson was inspired by a physics textbook illustrating light dispersion through a prism. He felt it perfectly captured the album's themes: clarity, complexity, and transformation. But did you know the band originally had an entirely different concept in mind? The first design idea was a photograph of the Marvel Comics character, the Silver Surfer. Yes, the Dark Side of the Moon almost had a superhero on the cover. But the band opted for something more abstract, something that felt like the music. There's also a hidden detail on the vinyl's gatefold sleeve. On the inside cover, the spectrum of light extends beyond the prism and forms a heartbeat, mirroring the album's first and last sounds. It's a subtle but brilliant way to tie the visuals into the music itself. The sound and production, a revolution in studio techniques. This isn't just an album, it's a listening experience. When it was released in 1973, The Dark Side of the Moon set new standards in audio production. Recorded at Abbey Road Studios, the band worked with legendary engineer Alan Parsons, who had just finished working on the Beatles' Abbey Road album. His influence was key in making this record sound like nothing else at the time. One of the album's signature techniques was the use of quadraphonic sound, an early version of surround sound. This was experimental for rock music, adding depth and dimension, making listeners feel like they were inside the music rather than just hearing it. The album also used innovative tape loops, layers of sounds carefully constructed by cutting and splicing magnetic tape by hand. This technique is what gives songs like On the Run their chaotic, hypnotic effect. But here's an interesting detail. The ticking clocks in time, those weren't just randomly placed samples. Alan Parsons personally recorded them in an antique shop, carefully arranging them to chime in perfect synchronization. Another sonic trick, the cash register sounds in Money. They were literally cut and pasted on a physical tape reel to create the unique 7/4 time signature at the start of the song. Vinyl isn't just about the music, it's about the experience. And to truly enjoy it, taking care of your records is key. That's why I've put together a selection of essential vinyl care products, turntables, and headphones for an immersive listening experience. From keeping your records clean to choosing the right turntable, everything you need is in one place. Looking to expand your collection? Amazon has a huge selection of vinyl. Vinyl is back, and some of the greatest albums ever made are getting fresh reissues, remastered sound, limited editions, and stunning colored pressings. For rare finds and carefully curated selections, check out my personal Disco GS store. Every record is graded and ready to find a new home in someone's collection. Bring the best of music history to your turntable. Find all the links in the description below. The lyrics and themes, a journey through the mind. One reason this album connects so deeply with listeners is its universal themes. The Dark Side of the Moon isn't just a collection of songs, it's a conceptual journey exploring life's biggest pressures: time, greed, mental health, and mortality. Roger Waters, the band's bassist and lyricist, wrote much of the album's themes based on personal fears and observations about society. The opening track, Breathe, is a meditation on modern life's stress and expectations, how we rush through existence without taking time to actually live. Time is a haunting reminder that we waste our days until suddenly it's too late. The famous lyrics, "And then one day you find 10 years have got behind you," weren't just poetic. They were inspired by a conversation Waters had with a friend who regretted how quickly his youth had slipped away. Brain Damage and Eclipse tie everything together with the theme of mental breakdown, a tribute to former Pink Floyd frontman Syd Barrett, whose struggles with schizophrenia forced him to leave the band. If you listen closely, you'll hear voices and laughter in the background of these tracks. Eerie whispers symbolizing the fine line between genius and madness.
Talk about money. Mustn't it be awful to have to put on your husband's pocket? Yeah, I don't. I just hold Bert's trousers upside down, hope for the best.
Hidden details and Easter eggs. The secrets in the sound. This album is full of subtle sounds that most people don't notice on first listen. Let's uncover a few. The album begins and ends with the sound of a heartbeat, creating a perfect loop, as if life itself is cycling endlessly. The weight of life and the echoes of the mind. Throughout the record, you'll hear spoken word snippets, recordings of random people answering philosophical questions that Waters asked them in the studio.
Frightened of dying. See no reason for it. You gotta go sometime. I was in the right.
Yes, absolutely in the right.
I certainly was in the right.
The famous quote, "There is no dark side of the moon, really. Matter of fact, it's all dark," comes from Abbey Road Studios' janitor. In The Great Gig in the Sky, the soaring vocals by Claire Torrey were completely improvised. She was given no lyrics, just told to think about death. She later said she thought she'd ruined the song, but it became one of the album's most emotional moments. The lyrics to Pink Floyd's Us and Them are about the senselessness of war and the consumerism and materialism that consume modern people. The song also criticizes the narrative of war and the idea that people are ordinary and war is death. The track Us and Them features saxophonist Dick Perry, whose warm, haunting solos added a jazz influence to the album, something almost unheard of in progressive rock at the time. And here's one of the most famous myths. Many fans believe that The Dark Side of the Moon syncs perfectly with The Wizard of Oz when played together. Though the band has denied this was intentional, the coincidences are eerie. Certain lyrics and musical changes seem to match the film's action perfectly. Legacy and cultural impact. A timeless masterpiece. The Dark Side of the Moon isn't just an album. It's one of the best-selling records of all time, with over 45 million copies sold worldwide. It stayed on the Billboard charts for an unprecedented 15 years, longer than any other album in history. Its influence stretches across genres, from progressive rock to hip-hop, from film soundtracks to electronic music. Artists from Radiohead to Kanye West have cited it as a major inspiration. The Final Spin, a timeless journey. Whether you listen to it on vinyl, CD, or streaming, The Dark Side of the Moon remains an experience, one that continues to evolve with every listen. So whether you've heard it 1,000 times or you're listening with fresh ears, The Dark Side of the Moon is more than just music. It's a journey, a sonic masterpiece that invites you to slow down, engage, and discover new layers with every spin. Drop the needle, take it in, and let's rediscover music, one record at a time.
Yeah. I was in the right.
Yes, absolutely in the right.
I certainly was in the right.
Yeah, it's definitely in the right. That geezer was cruising for a bruising.